Right now, there's a lot of debate over plant-based versus meat-based diet, but this was something that you saw across the board as quite a strong indicator of longevity.
I think people should eat what makes them feel the best, and I'm not here to tell people what to eat, but I'm also write for National Geographic, and my feet are held to the fire. So if I want to talk about a diet of longevity, our process was to aggregate dietary surveys in all 5 blue zones. Universities go out and find what the population is eating, and we did that for over the past 80 years. So 155 dietary surveys over 80 years. So we know what a centenarian was eating when they were 20 and what they're eating when they were newly retired and recently. Wow. I had oversight from Harvard to do what's called a meta-analysis. And if you really want to know what a centenarian has eaten most of his or her life, it is about 90 to 95% whole plant-based food. Contrary to sort of the popular keto diets and so forth, it's very high in carbohydrates, but complex carbohydrates. Both jelly beans and lentil beans are carbohydrates. And obviously, in a way, carbohydrates is the worst word in the nutritional dictionary, because I would argue simple carbohydrates like jelly beans are the most toxic components of our diet, whereas beans is the most healthy. The 5 pillars of every longevity diet in the world are whole grains, greens and other garden vegetables. It's all seasonal. Tubers, like sweet potatoes. In Okinawa, until 1970, about 65 to 70% of all the calories consumed were from purple sweet potatoes. Nuts as a snack. And then the cornerstone of every longevity diet in the world is beans. And if you're eating a cup of beans a day, it's probably worth about 4 years of extra life expectancy. They do eat meat, and I readily acknowledge that. The Adventists don't all eat meat, but in all blue zones, on average, they were eating meat about 5 times per month. The average American eats about 220 pounds of meat a year, which is just too much. I think there's plenty of evidence to show that level of meat consumption is highly associated with about a doubling or tripling of your chances of cardiovascular disease and even type 2 diabetes. In blue zones, they might be consuming 20 pounds of meat a year, and it's a celebratory food. It's usually from an animal that's had a pretty decent life. Not to say that justifies killing it, but it's just a whole different way of consuming meat and much lower quantities. So is there room for meat in people's diet? Probably, but a lot less than I think we're consuming.